Sea dragons. They're among the largest creatures in Aerwiar, but just how big are they? Leeli is 8 years old. The typical 8-year-old girl is between 120 and 140 centimeters tall. Yurgen is almost a perfect 100 leelies tall. Given this information, he could be anywhere from 130 to 150 yards long, measuring from the middle of his body. This makes him twice as long as the tallest castle in the world is tall, and puts him 4 times larger than the largest blue whale ever discovered. When melded with Davian Wingfeather, his wings could conjure up winds as fierce as a storm. Yurgen could produce a roar heard across the world, and his booming voice drowned out thunder. In other words, Yurgen is one big boy. Dragons can feel and process things much like people. Their decisions are nuanced and subjective, not based on instinct like bomb nobles or toothy cows. This is called sentience. During the first epic, at least in the kingdom of Anniera, it was common knowledge that dragons could think and feel, but this seems to have been lost to time. Since the dawn of Aerwiar, dragons could communicate with Annierans of royal blood. This included Dwayne, Gladys, Helmer, ouster, and the Wingfeather family. During the fourth epic, the ability to understand dragon speech was only present in Janner, Artham, and Davian Wingfeather. These three seem to understand the emotional quality and tone behind the dragon's words. For example, even when he can't pick out words, Janner's able to tell whether or not the dragons are angry. Kalmar and Leeli were only able to see and feel the dragons, despite being royalty. Such mental connections are often ascribed to magic, but dragons are able to block their minds from Annierans if they so wish. At the creation of Aerwiar, the dragons could fly. Their wings and hind legs atrophied into fins from thousands of years of misuse. But how long has it been since a dragon used its wings? We know the first epic began around 5,000 years ago, while the second epic began 3,000 years ago. This tells us the dragons have been confined to the sea for almost 3,000 years. But how old are the dragons themselves? According to Janner's vision in Book 2, dragons age very slowly. The first books, which Dwayne once held, mention the Dragon King by name, and Dwayne himself is thought to have ruled for about 1,000 years before his son ouster killed him and deceived Yurgen. This proves Yurgen is at least 4,000 years old, but since he is the only Dragon King in written history, he is likely much older, born near the dawn of Aerwiar, if not at its creation. In ancient times, dragons did not live exclusively in the dark sea of darkness. Instead, they ruled over the sky. The dragons were also surprisingly adept at burrowing. Their power was such that they could rend continents, level mountains, and bore through the very crust of the world. The Dragon King alone laid waste to entire lands and civilizations in his youth. Under his command, the dragons of the first epic brute forced their way into the fane of fire to retrieve 2 making stones, the holore and hulwen. In doing so, they trenched the sea, separating anniera from dang and displacing the first well. Yurgen is a drake. Mature male dragons are called drakes, mature females are worms, and young dragons are squirms. Not long after the dragons retreated into the dark sea, certain parts of their bodies became scarce and highly prized. For example, dragon whiskers were used to create paintbrushes, and dragon teeth were used to create pikes. Such parts were priceless, and many a man became rich off of the business of dragon hunting. The promise of great wealth drew more men into the craft. These dragoneers almost exclusively targeted squirms, since worms were too massive to kill and harvest. The typical dragon hunter could catch 1 or 2 squirms a year, though once podo helmer almost caught 2 in a day while aboard the gilded willy. While at sea, he injured Yurgen's daughter Hulwen, who was still a squirm at the time. The sea dragons are characterized by staggering might, striking intelligence, and sacred magic. If you want to learn more about the sea dragons and their tragic history, I strongly recommend you go check out this video by the Thwop Theorist. Link is in the description. But while you're down there, head to the comments and let me know what topics you want to see covered in future episodes. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.
Toodles!